HSR has a 4-star problem. That's right. You probably heard it from many people and felt it yourself, especially if you're free to play. We used to have pretty consistent 4 stars releasing in the beginning, and they have been great substitutes for some 5 stars. Example is Gallagher instead of Sha. So what happened? Is it possible that the cost and effort to create a 4 star is the same as a 5 star? Maybe that's why they stopped giving us 4 stars ever since 2.5? Is it power balancing? But let's be real, having more 4 stars balances it way better, so we don't have this problem of every team needing multiple 5 stars with little to no substitutes. Following up from the previous video from last week, how should this problem be managed? Sidegrades are the first thing that comes to mind for me. I like what they did with Penacony, releasing the 4-star sustain and harmony first for the super break archetype before the 5-star equivalents come out. This way, after the 5-star version upgrades come out, F2Ps who don't like the 5-star versions can save and cope with the 4-star versions because they still work. In my opinion, characters' DPS ceiling should not completely collapse without X or Y character. We definitely need alternatives. A theory I have is, maybe Sidegrades hurt the sales of the 5-star upgrades. Like for example, who want to pull Sha when you can just use Gallagher, correct? Like what I said earlier. But when you think about it, right, sales, right, they cost money, correct? So the target demographic wouldn't be the free-to-play players at all, correct? However, we need to remember that not everyone on Earth has unlimited money and want to spend to upgrade a character slot when Sidegrades exist, even if they are able to spend money on the game. So that could be the reason why they don't want to make any more 4 stars, maybe? Who knows? So what other solution is there? Cause newer 4 stars would usually just be Sidegrades, wouldn't they? We have a lot of 4-star supports in this game. Some are already Sidegrades, some are not. Just that most of them are just not good enough to be close on the level of limited 5 stars. Obviously, we don't expect them to be better, just decent enough so that the DPS doesn't collapse without their 5-star support. Cause like, example, what if you got Aglaea and then you skip Sunday because you didn't know? Who would want to pull then? Cause she just collapses without Sunday. Tingyun is the only 4-star that provides energy, correct? You could say this is maybe a Sidegrade for Sunday. What if we buff her energy gain? Remove the useless basic attack 40% damage trace that she has and convert it to something like, this might sound like a joke, but every time Tingyun gets hit, the character in the first slot regenerates some energy. What? Law accurate because she has plus 10,000% taunt and is secretly the emanator of preservation in cosplay fox clothing. By only going to the first character, it keeps it in line with the buffs being single target, and then you have to plan how to arrange your team as well. So if Tingyun can generate enough energy to keep Aglaea's ult up, then you can free your Sunday to your other team. And because Tingyun needs to get hit to regenerate energy, it won't be extremely consistent, even if you were to take, law accurate as a thing. If anything, it's a bonus to try to keep Aglaea's ult uptime healthy without Sunday. Now let's talk about a character with strong buffs but collapse to the bottom. And that character is Yukong. 80% attack, 12% imaginary damage, 28% crit rate, 65% crit damage. These buffs can even be considered as on par with a 5-star harmony. Well, the problem here is, while they are very strong, they are tied to roaring bowstrings. And this roaring bowstring, it consumes itself too quickly. Each ally, even Yukong herself, will use a charge. Why not change it to based on just Yukong's turn? Or if that's too powerful, ally's turn then. So every time they take the turn, it gets burned. But rather than, every ally counts as a charge, right? Just individual ally gets the buff and then it burns down based on their turns. Having allies that won't use the buff, which is most of the time is like more than half the team, burn a charge of the buff is just kind of like why? The fact that her ultimate does nothing if you don't have any bowstrings up from using the skill, unless you have E6, is also why. I get it, okay? Balancing. can't have her overshadowing the limited 5 stars. But I feel this mechanic was poorly made. If Yukong's buff can be managed, I'm sure she can be a really good substitute for many teams. One team in mind is Yunli. 80% attack is a lot. For a character like Yunli that wants attack, it's excellent. High crit rate buffs would also allow many DPS to have an alternative of using crit damage body. Better relic farming. We all win. Okay, for the other 4 star supports, right? Asta is a side grade of Robin. Hanya is a Sparkle Sunday side grade. Not much to say about them. I remember back in the day when Asta was way up in the rankings for MOC, and Hanya is just a bit of unfortunate. Came out at 1.5 and then 2 patches later got power crap really. It's hard for me to think of ways to improve them other than buffing their, buff multipliers. But it's a bit difficult as well. So like Asta, right, how much speed are you going to give to her? How much speed is too much? How much attack buff is too much? And for Hanya, right, how much SP is too much? Is it going to be too much such that it's better than Sparkle? They provide good support already. Like, even if their buffs can't provide good power compared to the 5 stars, as a Harmony character, they all share one thing in common, and that is they can equip the most powerful 4-star Lyco in the game. Dance, dance, dance. Let's be real, it's not that the buffs are weak, it's because HP inflation. And yeah, Pella is still used for Akron, so she's still fine. Honestly, Pella and Tingyun are basically the only 4 stars that you actually don't really have to change it. The reason I talked about Tingyun is just to theory craft a way to have a good 4-star alternative to Sunday, such that characters like Aglaea that if you do a Sunday you collapse. That's why. Support aside, last I checked, the only 4-star sustain that can still sustain is Gallagher, which is kinda ironic. That is very bad considering mobs are hitting harder and harder, and limited sustains are not going to rerun every single patch. Even if they don't change the 4-star sustain kits so as to keep the newer sustains more valuable, I feel a small adjustment to their multipliers are much needed, such as the healers should heal, heal a bit more. For shielders, I'm really not sure what you can change. Adventuring Shield isn't even that strong, for example, and he is a limited 5-star. The plus side of Adventuring Shield is that he can consistently re-shield without spamming his skill. Maybe March can have a bigger shield that blocks the first attack, like the Kiryu from Simulated Universe, or even give a guaranteed taunt until you get hit, so it's like a one-time use taunt. It's a single target shield after all. Or perhaps the shielded ally that gets hit regenerates energy, which is good for Clara and Yunli and wouldn't work for Fei Xiao cause she has no energy. They gave us a skin for preservation much after all. Might as well buff her so that people will use her. And we really do need more sustains that are not limited, of course. Anyway, these are just examples. In conclusion, slight retweaks to existing 4 stars could probably fix the problem, and maybe a new 4-star every now and then that synergizes well with the newest DPS, such that they wouldn't be universal, so that it's not too valuable. This way, there is no pressure to put multiple 5 stars just to make a character work, or even work in the future. Them being released every now and then, I think is pretty fair. We do have to make a choice sometimes between characters. Let's be real, we can't have the game to be, 100% catering to the free-to-plays. They also have to make money, correct? But the rate that they are going with 0 alternatives and very specific team comms is really tough, especially if you're free-to-play. That is all for this video. Thank you and take care. See you guys soon. Bye bye.